Hello survivors and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at Alice, who is an upcoming promo character, and she has got a very specific use, mainly down to her leader skill, but we'll check out her full kit first. She has got 1779 attack, 1617 defense and 1995 HP, so she is keeping in line with the boosted stats that we've seen recently. The only thing about this is her role is considered a medic. Her rush does not do any percentage damage, so that high attack that she has doesn't scale towards anything except basic attacks, which is always disappointing. Like, you'd probably be happy that she did one damage as long as the rest of the stats were higher. So you could probably say if she gave up 200 attack and got 200 defense, you'd be much happier in that situation. Medics generally don't have huge amounts of HP and defense, but she has very high attack for a medic. Now we look at her adrenaline rush, sharpen senses, 76 AP costs. Now there's two main parts to this rush, so I'll read the first part. All teammates get 75% attack for 3 turns, focus for 2 turns, and recover from impair. So that 75% attack for 3 turns is the highest 6-star rush for all. There are some characters I think that do it to 2 or 3, like Fast Heavy. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3, but he gives 100% attack. But you want it to all teammates, especially as most attack teams, you're not going to have huge amounts of damage dealers. You're going to have 2 maybe, and you definitely want them getting the buff, and that's going to 100% happen with Alice as the leader. The focus for 2 turns is great, particularly because you're probably going to run an alpha behind Alice on an attack team, and that means you can rush the middle character, who generally isn't going to be the shield unless someone is using their Andrea. Even if you had Andrea, I wouldn't say you should use her as a leader just because there's the potential of being rushed by alpha, but this focus rush is going to really help there. The recover from impair is just a bonus, but it is nice. Revive one teammate with 50% of their max HP is the second part, and I question this a little bit. It's just throwing a revive on something just for the sake of it just does seem like a bit over the top. It would have been nicer if she had a smaller heal, in my opinion, like a 20% for 2 turns or a 25% for 2 turns. That would have pretty much made her a 6-star Kate, whereas Kate gives 50% attack buff for 2 turns as well as focus for 2 turns, and I think she gives a heal for 25%. This would have just been a slightly boost, and of course the base stats, just because she's a 6-star, would have given Alice a much better survivability. So it would have been nicer if it was that way, in my opinion, and just slapping a revive on the end just seems a little bit lazy. And I mean, you could, of course it's nice, you're not going to complain, you could put a revive on anyone's rush. You know, if 6-star Tyrese had a revive with his rush, you wouldn't say that's bad. It just seems like you're just throwing revive on everything at the moment. So now looking at the active skill, and this is where there is a heal, because there is no heal on that rush, it's just a revive. Up to 3 teammates regain up to 35% of their max HP. This character gains 35% AP, so that AP gain will sort of counter the fact that she's not going to attack, and she'll gain AP as if she did, basically. So she's not going to have any AP loss. 3 teammates will get a reasonably decent heal, nothing spectacular, but because she is an attack team character, you're going to decide when this happens. I would say that's actually a pretty good active skill to raise though, just because there's no downside to it in terms of her. She's not really reliant on her damage, so you're not going to be like missing out, and healing 3 characters can sometimes make the difference. It has got an initial cooldown of 3 turns, and on an attack team she'll have her active and her rush pretty much come up at the same time, so you can make the choice between the two. I'd say most of the time it's better to do the rush first, and then if you're going to do the active the next turn. Looking at her leader skill, and this is where she comes into her own role. No one else can do something like this. All alert teammates and strong teammates gain 40% attack and a huge bonus to AP when attacking. This is almost like the ideal perfect attack team leader against melee defense teams, because the alert characters with Alice are going to do trait damage against strong defense team characters, and the strong characters are going to do trait damage against the fast defense team characters. They're also not going to take any trait damage against melee defense teams. Obviously, if you've got someone who's a bit more of a mixed leader, it's going to have the potential to be a problem. But this is like Carl leader, Gabriel, those sort of leaders are going to have a big issue. You know, this is a complete counter to those sort of teams. Looking across to her weapon, she has got an off trait special on it. We'll look at the rest of it. 30% HP on base, a medium bonus to AP when taking damage. That of course is going to be the upgrade slot. And impair when attacking, a better chance to impair the enemy for 3 turns. That's normally a tough upgrade. She is of course an alert character. It's not a terrible special. Obviously if it was potentially stun, you could argue maybe it'd be better, but then again you could argue it could be worse, because a lot of teams, pretty much everyone, sees stun resist as the premium thing to run. So not many have impair resist. I rarely come up against impair resist unless I'm not coming up against a tier 1 team. If I'm coming up against a tier 1 team, they will generally never have impair resist. It'll be like stun resist, and if they run a second resist, it's generally confuse or taunt. So that's something to always, like, if this happens, she's going to be able to impair like a revive on a defense team for 3 turns, which is great. Downside, of course, it doesn't have any impact on active skills, and there are a lot of active revivers running around at the moment. In terms of how the weapon looks, it reminds me of a gun. I'm not sure where it is. I played so many games, but it reminds me of, mainly in her stance, not so much in the picture of it on the dossier, but in her hands. It reminds me of a gun. If you can think of what this could remind me of, it's going to be something from a video game once upon a time. Now, in terms of how I'd upgrade the weapon, probably just put a huge bonus to AP when attacking and 35% defense, or up that HP to 40%. You want to keep her alive basically, so you want to up the defensive stats for sure. So this is Alice. Do tell me what you think about her. I think she's a great character. She's going to be great against those melee defense teams. Do tell me if you're going to pull for her. I definitely am. I think I'm 100% going to be doing a 10 pull for her. I've got coins. I didn't pull for Cole last week. I kind of want a tag team character that will make a huge difference, and I think Alice is the one. So do tell me if you're going to pull for her. Good luck if you do. But that's it in this video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.